Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here with Visionary Veda bringing you your June 2020 Vedic Astrology report. In this report, what I'll do is I'll go over the eclipse energies, the retrograde energies, and the planetary alignments that will affect us for this coming month. It is going to be a very action-packed, very pivotal month with a lot of things coming up for everybody to review, both within themselves and on the world stage. So what I'm going to do in this report is first I'll go ahead and I'll give you all the dates, and then I'll go over the planetary interactions and alignments and the energies. And then I'll talk on this report more about the full moon eclipse coming up on the 5th or the 6th. Actually, here in California, it's the 6th, but other places it'll be the 5th, which will be a very potent full moon, one which will most likely affect all of our psyches. So I'll get more into detail about that. But first, as of today, June 1st, we have in the sky, we have Rahu, which has moved out of its own nakshatra of Ardra, thank God, because that is usually the nakshatra of calamities. And since Rahu and Ketu go backwards, it's moved into the nakshatra of Mrigashira, which is also the nakshatra of Mars, but it is a little bit less on the calamity side. So that's a good point. We have Venus going retrograde right now, and it is going to be tomorrow combust because it's sitting with the sun in the sidereal sign of Taurus, and that indicates a lot of heaviness regarding one's relationships, money, values, one's sense of worth in the world. So we'll go over that. So that combustion is happening tomorrow. And then we have Mars, which has moved into the sidereal sign of Aquarius, which lends to a lot of the recent upheaval that you've seen lately. You know, Mars is a sign of energy, action, righteousness, the planet. And it's in the sign of Aquarius, right? Which governs like the networks, the masses, the people, the society. So we've got that going on. And then we have Saturn, Jupiter, and I'm going to include Pluto because you've got those three planets going retrograde in the sidereal sign of Capricorn, which indicates looking back and revising and reviewing structures and organizations and ways things are, the way things flow and the way things that have been established, the way things that are established. So revising what hasn't been working. This will include like businesses, government, and the masses, because Capricorn rules the established order, hard work, and authoritarian forces. Then we have this full moon coming up in the sign of Scorpio. Of course, we still have Ketu in Sagittarius in its own karmic nakshatra of Mula. So you know that I've been talking about this nakshatra, which sits in the first degrees between Scorpio and Sagittarius, right? Very karmic nakshatra, or abode in the sky. It actually is astronomically the place that's in line with our galactic center. So this is where we receive the karmic and cosmic impulses, right, from our own galaxy. So these are very important trigger points, and we've seen it. You've heard me talk about it over the last few years when so many planets were going through that trigger point. Now we're seeing the ripening of the karma. So we still have that going on until the end of September. What did I miss? And then Mercury. Oh yeah, Mercury with Rahu. Mercury is sitting with Rahu right now in its own sign of Gemini. Mercury is also going to go retrograde on, I believe, the 18th, which is the same day that Mars is going to change from Aquarius to Pisces. So what does this all mean? in this report, I'm going to continue to go over the energies of the retrogrades and the combustion, as well as very important information regarding the upcoming full moon. So really quickly, because I've already talked about this in my other videos, the retrograde planets are an indication of reviewing and revising and being able to see what it is that isn't working for you. Now, this is macrocosm, microcosm, right? So it affects us all on a personal level, but it also affects everybody on the collective level, because the collective is made up of individuals. So to see where it is in your chart, you can feel free to contact me, and I'll be happy to do a personal Vedic birth reading or chart reading for you to see where all these really intense energies are going to be affecting you with your life. But in this reading, I can only give a general report, okay? So we look at the significations of Venus, which is combust. And it's happening right now. Actually, it's been happening for the last few days. It's going to continue for the next few days up until this full moon. So the effects of this Venus combust and in retrograde, the Jupiter in retrograde, the Saturn in retrograde, Mercury with Rahu, and this partial eclipse of the new moon is a full moon, indicates a lot of psychological imbalance. Okay? Why? Because the moon is our mind, it's our emotions, it's our way of feeling connected to ourselves and to the world. With this eclipse, it's going to take place in the nakshatra of Jyeshta, in the sidereal sign of Scorpio, which is a very difficult sign for the moon in general to inhabit. Why? Because it's a sign of insecurity. If you look back at my last video when we talked about the new moon in Taurus, the theme around this new moon was inner security. We still had all these planets going retrograde, which we will for this full moon as well. But where was it? Where is it when I spoke about it? Where is it within us that we can find a deeper sense of inner security? Because looking out into the world is just going to make us more insecure at this time, especially with all these planets retrograde. Everything outside is going to be backwards, right? So to look outside and to gauge what's happening is just going to lend to more confusion, right? Especially in this time. So for this full moon, it's going to be brought up even further. Taurus, security. Scorpio, deep insecurity. Lots of deep secrets can come up. Also, it's in Jyeshta nakshatra. The lord of this nakshatra is Mercury. Mercury will be Mercury will be with Rahu, and it's going to get ready to go retrograde, but that's not until the 18th. Anyway, Mercury is right now, during this full moon, conjunct with Rahu, which can give a lot of agitation, friction, confusion to the mind. This will also be aspected by Mars and Venus. Mars is right now in the sign of the masses and of the people and of innovation. So in this tumultuous, mental, insecure place that we're all going to be feeling on some level, the possibility here is to be able to create something from a different level of consciousness, yeah? Instead of recreating things from fear. It has the potential to elevate us. Venus is going to be combust, and when Venus is combust, we feel like we're not valued. We start to feel like we're not having support. We start to feel as if we're uncomfortable socially. We start to feel like we're not loved. We begin to feel like we're not understood. We don't feel held and supported. Now, this is going to happen to everybody across the globe. Like, starting on the 18th, we'll have Mercury retrograde as well. So we're going to have later on in June, around the eclipse time, 5 planets in retrograde. I'll talk more about that on another video, just because there's so much information for this June that's really hard for me to compact into a succinct short video for you guys. So just reviewing the energies of June, the 3 eclipses, the lunar eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse coming up in Scorpio here on the 6th, the solar eclipse happening in the sign of Gemini on the 21st. I'm going to make a whole separate video just going over that. And then again in early July, another eclipse. Okay, 5 planets are going to be retrograde. Right now 4 are retrograde, and of those 5 planets, almost all of them are going to be in their own sign. So this is like major implications, major opportunities to make real and lasting change. Now, the one thing I want to add here before I close my report is that what this solar lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio on the 6th is going to give us the opportunity to see, okay, with all of these planets retrograde as well. So 8 out of the 12 signs are going to be feeling it, right? Because 8 of these signs are ruled by the retrograde planets. It gives us an opportunity to be able to see into our unconscious, subconscious working of our own psyches. And if we are open to these uncomfortable revelations about how we within ourselves are not maybe aware of places where we are not valuing others, where we are disrespecting others for their opinions, where our own ethics are being compromised. How do we compromise our own standards? What work are we doing on ourselves to uplift and better our own lives so that we can show up and reflect that betterment in the external world, right? What transformation needs to badly, urgently take place within us in order for us to evolve, right? This moon will highlight our fears, our insecurities, the places that we don't feel valued, understood, respected, or loved, right? How can we, during this full moon, allow this illumination into the darkness of our own selves? And how can we, during this phase, learn how to accept, not only accept, but love that part of ourselves that we reject? And how can we see and begin to appreciate what that darkness has done for us? How has it served us? How has it protected us, right? Because what I'm seeing happening now is that so much of this insecurity, agitation, due to all these planetary alignments, are causing people to not self-reflect, but instead project, right? Project out onto whoever, whatever is in front of them. See, the main thing is that when we as humans, all of us, when we see things within ourselves that we are not okay with, or we see that reflected in others, the healing is to be done in an inward level. Whatever we haven't healed or looked at, whatever aspects that we haven't taken the time to really look at within ourselves and do our healing work around, is going to come up for us to see. And it's going to be very easy to push that and project that onto others. Why? Because it's hard. It's hard to look at ourselves in an objective, loving, compassionate way and accept those quote-unquote imperfect or places inside of us that are still in darkness, that we have not yet had maybe the courage to be able to face, right? So when these things are being shown to you through the illumination of a very intense eclipsed full moon in Scorpio, it's going to make us feel very uneasy. And what happens when we feel very uneasy? We want to blame somebody else for it. It's your fault. It's your issue. It's because of you that I am suffering, right? So yes, it's going to be an incredibly intense full moon, but it's also going to give us the opportunity, if we have been doing our practices, if we've been working towards our awareness and our evolution, right, and our healing, it's a huge opportunity to be able to see those insecurities, right, and be able to give thanks for them, for showing themselves to us, so that we can do the inner work of transformation. If we don't, just as a warning to all of you out there, those people that don't, be prepared to see more violence, more aggression, more people dividing. Like, there's so much fighting between friends. Even me, even myself, I have been blocked by some old friends, for like over 20 years, based on just my opinion and just asking questions that other people reacted around. And this is very hurtful. It's very hurtful to see old friends, behaving in ways that are surprising, or actually projecting onto you and making you the source of their pain and misery, But this is just human nature, and this is unconscious human nature. And so the retrograde planets are going to give us the opportunity to review, take a really good look inside of our own psyches, especially during this full moon, right? As to where is it that the darkness comes from within us, and what can we do within ourselves and within our sphere of influence to be the example of forgiveness for self and others, compassion for self and others, understanding from self and others. Because where this comes from, where all of it comes from, is a reaction to deep-rooted trauma and pain, whether it's within us or within our society. Just to talk a little bit, I'm really trying to stay away from current events, but just to give you a comparison, right? What's happening here in the States is there are a lot of racial and civil racial tensions coming back up, right? This is due to the amount of trauma that people of color and minorities have had to face for generations in this country. So it's just a reactivity. And what I will recommend for this full moon is to humbly ask for the illumination to help. Be brave. Be brave. May the illumination help for us to reveal our own unconsciousness, our own biases, our own judgments within ourselves about ourselves, so that we can take responsibility for these feelings and stop projecting them onto other people and making the outside sources, the outside events and people, to be the source of your suffering, because it's not. It's really a great time to learn, make changes, review, revise, and evolve. And it's not easy. Whenever the light is shown on the darkness, it's hard. It's hard to look at. Be gentle on yourselves. Everybody has issues. Everybody has flaws. By keeping things in the dark, by pushing people away, it's not going to lend towards healing. It's not going to lend towards wholeness. So where can we have a look within ourselves? Yeah? Where can we have a look collectively? And instead of reacting and being frightened and insecure, it's scared of the change, let's be logical, let's be rational. Let's have a look at what is it that needs changing and how can we approach this with a solution that comes from another level of consciousness. And in order to do that, we must remain centered, we must remain secure, and we must remain certain of our wholeness, our oneness, and our connection to Source, because the light will guide the way. Okay, so this is one very long video. I hope it was helpful. I'm going to do a couple of others in this series to get more into the astrological details of what energies to look out for. So stay tuned for those. And if you would like to have a reading with me, please feel free to contact me on my email below. And yes, questions, comments are welcome. And please like and subscribe this channel. It really helps to get my my videos circulated and this information more widely distributed. So thank you all so much. I'm wishing you many blessings for this upcoming June. Enjoy the life. Take care. Be good to yourself and be good to each other. Okay, until next time. All right, bye-bye now. Thank you.